Hey, Michaela Light for the CF Alive podcast here, and I'm here with Rakshith from Adobe.
Yep.
Yes, product manager for ColdFusion. And he just gave a talk. We're here at CF Summit in Washington, D.C., and he gave an amazing talk about the new features in ColdFusion 2018, and I just wanted to share some of those with our viewers. So tell us what the future vision is for ColdFusion, because I was quite surprised when I saw that it involved the cloud, right?
Absolutely. So the whole idea is we've been building ColdFusion for such a long time. This is the 24th year, right? And the reason why ColdFusion has been able to thrive is because we have been able to come up with innovations at the right point of time. For instance, back in 2007, we came up with Ajax capabilities when jQuery was not even around and people didn't know much about JavaScript. Then HTML5 with the version after that, with WebSockets and stuff. WebSockets is becoming popular now, but ColdFusion has had it since ColdFusion 10 days, which is 2011, sorry. Yeah, from 2011 we've had WebSockets. Now, we are at a phase where we need to ensure that if we have to be relevant for the next decade, it's been 24 years. What about the next decade? What do we need to do? So if you look at that, the strong play that we have there is on the cloud and containerization. So you saw in the keynote as well, the way the world is progressing. It was physical machines earlier, then came in virtual machines, then came in cloud computing. Post that, it's all been containerization, and now the world is going towards serverless. And unless we play well in that area of cloud, containerization, and serverless, we're not going to be relevant. So to be relevant and even dominate the next decade, we need to have a serious play in the cloud story. So what we're trying to do is the whole vision for the next couple of versions is to be the most productive platform on the cloud and not just be on one cloud. We are looking at a multi-cloud platform to transform ColdFusion into a multi-cloud platform. And with these, you should be able to build cloud-native microservice applications. So that's the whole idea.
Now let's dig into some of those things. You mentioned multi-cloud. Why is that important for the enterprise, that you're not just stuck in one cloud vendor like Azure or AWS or whatever it is?
Correct. Now, if you look at the CIO priorities for 2019, multi-cloud is definitely one, because what people are realizing, what organizations are realizing, is that they don't want to be just stuck with, let's say, AWS. Right? If my entire business is running on AWS, or if my entire business is running on Azure, I'm pretty much dependent on that one single cloud provider. Now,
and they go down occasionally.
Absolutely.
Like AWS went down this last year.
Right. So one is about going down. The other is you also need to have each of these cloud providers themselves are coming up with innovative capabilities. So to leverage capabilities across cloud and not be vendor dependent. So you would want to have presence in multi-cloud, right? Across AWS and Azure. So now that we are getting into the cloud play, what we're trying to do is we will have easy to use APIs to talk to various cloud services, be it Amazon's SQS or be it SNS or even RDS, right? So the nice thing that we are looking at is we will have a common API interface for both AWS and Azure. So when you move your applications or pieces of application from one cloud to another, you don't have to rewrite the code again.
Wow.
So that is the idea. So becoming a true multi-cloud platform on AWS and Azure to begin with. So that is what we're doing from a cloud point of view. There's a whole lot on the microservices as well. So we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, you mentioned native microservices. Why is that important to the enterprise?
Great. Yeah. So the way the new applications are being built is there's some data coming in from IDC. So what they say is 60% of the applications by 2022 will have presence on multiple clouds, and 90% of all new applications will be microservice based. So you no longer have that giant monolithic application, right? So you break it into multiple components and then run them on individual containers. Now, to enable that really well, what we are planning to do is break ColdFusion into multiple modules as well. So you'll no longer see the gigantic...
So ColdFusion won't be monolithic application server, it will be a microservice application server too.
Absolutely. With its own package manager coming in. So the whole idea is it's like build your own ColdFusion runtime. So based on your application, so we'll be able to we are planning to come up with a tool using which it'll scan your application, figure out the modules that are needed. For instance, let's say your application is making use of PDF module. So we are going to build a runtime, a nimble runtime with just the PDF. So that way you can build microservices with ease with a tiny container. So today we are not that, we are still monolithic, but the whole idea is to become that nimble microservice container across the cloud and across containers as well. So that's why the vision is around cloud native microservice applications across multiple clouds.
That's great. Now let's just back up a minute. Why are microservices so important these days? What's the benefits of that?
Sure. So yeah, so what used to happen earlier was people were building monolithic applications. So the application pretty much does everything, right? Now think about how you go about updating an application. Okay, so if you want to update an application or pieces of your application, you have to pretty much redeploy the entire giant application. So that is not how the modern application works. You would ideally split it out so that even if you have to update pieces later on, you can individually, if you have microservices, I just need to go update one specific piece of the application and not the entire application. And even if I have issues, I can easily figure out which microservice has that specific issue and debug that easily, rather than trying to figure out what is the issue with my giant application. So that is why microservices is becoming so important. And it's not just about debugging and the ease of building it. It is also about scaling. So if I need to scale individual components or individual microservices depending on the need, so that we spoke about the PDF example, right? So let's say there is in my organization there is a huge demand for, let's say, creating PDFs on the fly.
Maybe it's the end of the quarter and they're printing all their reports. Yeah.
Exactly, that's a good use case. So now I can scale up just the PDF containers, and I don't have to worry about the rest of the microservices. I just need to scale up PDF's microservices so that it can handle the additional load coming in. But this gives you a lot of flexibility, and it's definitely the way that new applications should be built even today. And that's going to be the future as well.
So it's more efficient in computing resources and it's more flexible.
Correct, right,
So,
yes, absolutely.
And hopefully more reliable as well.
Correct.
That's great. Well, very exciting. I don't think there's any other platform, language platforms out there that are doing this, as far as I know.
The multi-cloud stuff that I spoke about on AWS and Azure, no. So we will be one of the first to venture there with a common API interface. There are solutions that focus on deploying your application on AWS and Azure. We are focused on application development, so talking to various services with ease. So
and
just to give you,
will people be able to write their own APIs for other cloud providers, or?
if you want to, you can write it, but we will have a list of our cloud, our cloud APIs. So if you want to extend it, since we'll have a package management capability coming in, that can be extended, of course.
Right, because there's, half a dozen or more cloud providers out there.
Correct.
And they all have different features or price points.
Correct. So if you want to talk to those, you might want to do that as well. And bundle it as a module. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And I guess this implies that the ColdFusion licensing in the future will change to allow the flexibility for cloud deployment. So, you've got some kind of metered licensing coming.
Correct. So we'll have to change the licensing model associated. You'll see us coming up with that as well.
Just like all other cloud things are done that way. They charge by the hour or whatever CPU.
So we do have the AMI available already on Amazon. So we'll have it on Azure as well. And so basically to scale up and scale down, you need to have a better licensing model. So we will come up with that as well. Because it's important to have a licensing model that supports our customers on cloud and containers. So we will have that as well.
Great. Well, this is exciting. So is this in the roadmap for ColdFusion 2020 or 2022?
So the vision that I'm speaking about on cloud native microservices as well as the multi-cloud platform. So it's a 2-release kind of a vision. So we're looking at one release, which is 2020, followed by another release, perhaps by end of 2021. So it's for two versions from now. So that's the plan. Yeah.
Well, 2020 is only like 8 months away.
Yeah. So we'll have the first release. Yes, absolutely. So these are busy times now.
Yeah.
So we now have an idea of what needs to be done. So it's time for us to for our engineers to get deeper and start implementing that for CF 2020.
Great. Well, thanks for telling us about those new features.
Great.
So, and can we read about those on the ColdFusion portal or somewhere
Yes,
else?
not right now. We don't have anything
Yeah.
available right now.
Okay.
But we will soon update the roadmap. So we have a
Oh,
public-facing
great.
roadmap. So that'll
Oh,
have details about what we just discussed very soon.
fabulous. Well, thanks so much,
Great.
Rakshith, for joining us.
Great. Thank you. It was great chatting with you.